too close up. Hoy estamos en Los Ángeles, California. A ver juntos todos. Los Ángeles,
California. Hollywood.
¿Cómo va la canción? Beverly Hills.
That's
where you want to be. Vimos unos elefantes.
Búscate un lugar bueno donde comer.
En la casa. Pues tanta comida compramos para no comer en la casa.
No, pues si no estamos no vamos a comer.
Para no comer en la casa. Y eso que la estrella quería comer con nosotros y ahí lo vas a dejar.
Se aguanta. Al rato que como un snack.
What's this market place called? Community Goods.
Community what?
Community Goods. But this is at the Pacific Design Center. Special location. Read all about it. This is the maple lavender. Tengo 1000 cosas en mi bolsa. Beverly Hills. That's where. Una vez vine acá con un amigo y nosotros bien emocionados y vamos a probar el café y que estaba cerrado ese día.
Pero ahora no, mira.
Ahora no. Pero ahí llegamos y todo y nos estacionamos allá, me recuerdo. Y entramos y yo bien, vamos a probar el café. Y nada. Nada. Beverly Hills. Ay, así que sí se siente tener 26 años.
¿Cómo ves? Y es que apenas estás empezando a sentirlos.
Por eso que fui a Pilates en la mañana.
Sí.
Pero entré y ya habían empezado, ¿no? Pero nomás había 4.
¿De Polaris qué es?
Pilates es lo que hice en la mañana de ejercicio.
Lo de ejercicio.
Con las máquinas. Pero es que no podía encontrar mis calcetines y tienes que tener unos calcetines especiales that have like a grip. Pero no los encontraba y no los encontraba. I think we should eat at home.
Vámonos.
Tenemos comida en la casa. Bye!
Introduce our special guest. Celia Martinez is a Mexican-American bilingual poet and hopeful romantic. She began posting her work on TikTok in 2021 and quickly amassed a following of 4 million across her social media platforms. Martinez graduated from Yale University in 2021 with a BS in molecular cellular developmental biology and is a proud major in STEM. While working full-time as a scientist, Martinez wrote and self-published 2 books. Tonight she debuts her 3rd. Please give it up for Celia Martinez.
Okay, everyone can hear me. Thank you, first and foremost, for coming. I really appreciate you all being here and celebrating the book launch day with me. That's so crazy. And yeah, we've been working on this book for so long, and a special thank you to all the people on my team. They're also helping out today, and my family's here, and so many of my friends are here, and I really appreciate you all for being here and how exciting, not only for me, but hopefully can be exciting for all of us as well. Let me just put this down, hold on. Oh, okay. So today we're here to talk about my new book, A Magnificently Ordinary Romance. Who's excited to hear about it? Okay, that's a good sign. You know, if you're not here to hear about it, you might be in the wrong place. I'm just gonna say that. Something that I also wanted to emphasize in this book is a lot of my own identities too. So, as was mentioned in the introduction, I graduated with a degree in biology. So I never actually classically trained in poetry. I've always been, very hardcore STEM, something that I'm super passionate about. And so throughout this book, our main characters are also in the science field, and you'll kind of see that throughout some of the pictures. And so we have this lovely person that's in a lab, and yeah, you'll kind of see through some of the story how it's being told. And even some of the images, if you look through them, there's a lot of sort of angels and a lot of this celestial art, and that's also because I wanted it to be two stories. So we have the main plot line with the poems, and then the drawings with the angels are kind of telling this other story in a sense too of, we have this couple that just can't get it together, and you just want them to be together, and there's all this miscommunication and forced proximity and all this, you know, every trope that you can, well, maybe not every trope, but many of your favorite tropes are in this book because they're my favorite tropes, so I included them, and I also wanted it to be shown how the guardian angels are working really hard to get these people together, and they're like, please, like, just stop being dumb, like, just get together. And so you kind of see that battle too of, oh, like, there's one image of an angel at a grocery store, and it's like, oh, dang, like, now we're doing this again, like, and so really, I challenge you to look at the symbolism and to maybe not take everything at face value. So, yeah. So I'll start with page 16. Okay. If you could read my mind, I don't think you'd ever be insecure again. You might not believe me though, so I'll voice these thoughts out loud for you then. Before I even knew you, I only ever just saw your name. We kept missing each other in hallways, you were just a blur to me, what a shame. So the first day that I really saw you, I couldn't believe that you were real. I fast walked away and shut the door. I told my friend, don't make it a big deal. My friend smiled as he shook his head. I've never seen you like this before. Then we both burst out laughing as I angrily shoved my safety goggles into a drawer. Those stupid goggles, and the effect that they had, because I couldn't stop smiling the whole way home when you texted. I'm glad that I ran into you. I like seeing you today. And so when I started feeling sick, I prayed to heal some way, because I needed to see you again. I wasn't going to cancel that first date. And part of me thought that I should, but the rest of me believed in fate. But I didn't really believe in it, if I'm being honest, you know, why lie? I said, God definitely didn't put me on this earth just to meet up with some guy. Then I see you walking. You're coming up the stairs. You have a gift in your hand, our hearts playing musical chairs. With only one seat, and when the music stops playing, our hearts crash into each other. I'm sorry, what were you saying? You're the kind of beautiful that handsome wishes it could be. Attractive, but the kind of charming that makes a thesaurus out of me. And then you start talking about the homes you've helped build, the motorcycle in your driveway, how you've always been strong-willed. And if my thoughts had legs, they'd be in my mind running around, desperate to find a tape recorder, saving to memory your laugh sound. That sound, your laugh, makes your eyes smile, by the way. While you were looking at me, my angels were ferociously drawing away. Your brown eyes, your crooked smile, how your hair looks blonder in this light. Paired with some big bushy brows, the Eiffel Tower begs to be such a sight. And the more I listen, the more I realize you have no idea who you are. When the sun listens to the wrong people, it spends its whole life believing it was always just a star. You are a star. You're famous. Posters hang of you in my heart. My angels put the drawing of you between them, and God couldn't tell you and them apart. You are a big deal. You might not believe that, but I immediately do. You made a writer out of me, so I make poetry out of you. I kind of speed up my tone a lot when I'm reciting certain poems, or I tend to speak a bit differently depending on the emotion that I'm trying to convey. So this one, you know, might be a little all over the place, and that's kind of how I wanted it to be, and how special that I get to read it with you guys today. Okay, so page 66. There are a lot of things I wanted to say then, but I know how I can be, and if you could choose to be with anyone, why would you ever choose to be with me? I'm sorry, I mean, I'm not, I mean, I wish you couldn't tell. I'm sorry, I mean, I'm not, I mean, maybe for you I fell. Maybe I'm still falling. But I don't say that instead. I'm sorry, I mean, I'm not, I mean, what if I'm the book you wish you never read? We're getting to the good part, the climax of the scene. Here are all the worst parts of me and exactly what they mean. There are a lot of things I wanted to say, like am I the door you regret having budged? Here are all the worst parts of me, I'm ready to be judged. I'm sorry, I mean, I'm not, I mean, people have been mean. I'm sorry, I mean, I'm not, I mean, some scars can't be scrubbed clean. I mean, I'm still cleaning years in advance. I mean, people have hurt me because I gave them the chance. There are a lot of things they said then. I'm still plucking splinters from my heart. I mean, if you asked how they hurt me, I wouldn't even know where to start. So if you could choose to be with anyone, why would I assume it would be me with you? And even then, what if you're choosing someone you later wish you never knew?
Bravo, bravo!
And so we see how kind of one of the characters, they have a really hard time expressing themselves through writing versus the other feels very comfortable writing. And it's like there's beauty in taking that extra step to kind of figure out someone's love language and to try to love them in that way, whether they know it or not, right? Okay. Let's see. Let me try to decide one or two more. Okay. I'm gonna do this one because I love this one, and you probably have read it on social media if you follow me on social media. And we're gonna go to page 106. And so this one I actually wrote when I didn't really know if I believed in love, which is very funny to say as someone that writes a lot of poetry about love. But I really just wanted to imagine, okay, like if I had the most loving thing happen to me, what would it feel like? What would be happening? What day would it be? And I'm a big believer of like manifesting stuff, so I was like, oh, like I'm gonna manifest this for myself. Not yet, but it's okay. And so that was kind of what I was thinking when I was writing this one. Okay. I don't mind being single, but sometimes I get this glimpse in my head. I imagine somebody bringing me breakfast in bed. The bedroom door opens slowly, like he's afraid I'll suddenly wake. The smell of donuts fills the air. When would he have had time to bake? He puts the tray down at the desk with the flowers he's carefully chosen. I turn in my sleep and he just looks at me, frozen. Like he's saving to memory the image, like he couldn't believe that it's really true. That's his I made it moment. He whispers, I'm in love with you. But he doesn't let me hear it yet. He just takes in the scene. If there was any doubt there is a heaven, he's sure I'm what heaven is supposed to mean. And then my eyes slowly open with a smile and a yawn. For a second I panic because I don't know where he's gone. And then when I turn, he's holding flowers on a tray. He sets it down next to me. Happy birthday. And I think I might cry when he pulls out a little note. I didn't want to wake you. He takes off his coat. I went to your favorite donut shop. They knew you by name. I told them you were asleep. They wish you came. He kisses my forehead, caresses the hair on my head. Nobody has ever thought to bring me breakfast in bed. And I wanted to find the prettiest flowers, so I went into this floral store. When they saw my note, they said they don't see you as much anymore. And they miss you, but they don't mind it. I laugh with tears, wonder, as I shift in the blankets that you must have put me under. I didn't know you went there. Every single birthday. And when I was my own Valentine, I celebrated the same way. With roses and eucalyptus, I look at the bouquet. So when I was writing this note, I thought, what would my favorite poet say? So I started with happy birthday. I'm grateful you're in my life, not just in the good moments, but in the times of great strife. I can't change the past or say what the future may hold, but I will make it my life's mission to love you better as we grow old. Because you are a vacation for everyone around, but also the home I want to come back to when I arrive back in town. You are the ocean with a love so vast, without even trying, you make the effect of you last. So one rose for the past, one for each Valentine's Day. I'm proud of you, you know, for the inspiration you convey. One for the present, one for each day of birth, an extra one to remind you of everything you've always been worth. Eucalyptus to de-stress, vegan donuts to start the day. If loving somebody could be an art, I would make you a Monet. I don't mind being single, but sometimes I get this glimpse in my head of somebody telling me that they love me. Then I wake up alone in my bed.
Bravo, 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 bravo!
I think for me, I can still remember my Yale interview, and it was like in this little coffee shop in my hometown, and I'm from the Bay Area. And so I remember I walked in, and I was like a little late, and I think my dad had taken me, and I was like, oh no, this doesn't look good. And the interviewer was still there with somebody else. So I was like, okay, everything's fine. And then eventually it was my turn when the other student left, and I sat down, and one of the questions that I was asked was, how do you feel about moving across the country? And I was so scared, and I knew in that moment, I was like, I don't know, like, I feel kind of bad about it. Like, it was a very difficult decision, but I was like, you know what? I just need to believe that I've been given this opportunity for a reason. And so in that moment, I didn't even hesitate, and I was like, I'm ready. I'm gonna do it. Did I feel that way in the moment? No. But later on, when I got in, my interviewer actually invited me to lunch, and I went and I took my mom, and the interviewer told me that one of the reasons that she recommended me so highly for Yale was because I didn't hesitate. And she was like, I can see that you really wanted that opportunity and that you belong at a place like that and that you're gonna do a lot with that opportunity. And I was like, and so those moments like that, even when I started at Yale, and I remember my first night in my dorm, it was like, it wasn't even the start of school yet. I cried super bad, and I was like, I don't know, like, I made the wrong decision, blah, blah, blah. And I had been considering a lot of schools on the West Coast, and I was like, I could have gone and been closer to my family, why did I do this, like, and it was really difficult. And I remember I called my parents all the time, and I was like, why am I here? Like, people probably don't want me here. I'm not doing well. Like, I'm really struggling with my classes. It should be easier if I belong at a place like this. And that imposter syndrome always stuck around with me. And if I'm being honest, like, it never really leaves. Like, it's something that we kind of learn to question of, like, why do we feel like we don't belong here? Why? Like, what system of oppression is making us feel like we don't belong here, right? And so I think that's something that you get better at asking yourself as you get older, instead of just listening to what other people tell you. And you also realize as you get older that a lot of the insecurities that we tend to hold are just projections from other people and what their insecurities are. And so it's like, okay, when people make you feel that you don't belong there, just be like, maybe you feel that way, not me. Like, and sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. And I think I did that a lot. And, you know, even with poetry, there was a long time where I didn't call myself a poet because I was like, girl, I'm a biologist, like, what? And it wasn't until, like, so many of you and so many people online were like, no, like, you're our favorite poet. And I was like, me? and so I think it's definitely difficult, but it's something that if you feel in your soul that that's something you want to do, like, nobody can take that away from you. And, yeah. There's so many of us that are doing it, and so many of us that also feel the same way, so I don't want you to ever think that you're alone, because you're definitely not. And I know that we have some doctoras in the audience that can probably say that they felt pretty similarly as well, and they still have those moments too. So yeah, we're here for you. You have a comunidad, like, just tap in when you need us. When we think of love, we automatically think of romantic love. And we're like, we needed to be in a relationship, we needed to be with this perfect person and this perfect ending. And for a long time, I felt like that. And I was like, oh, I don't necessarily believe in that. Like, I don't, I know plenty of unhappy couples too. And even in some of my writing, like, I'll be writing about someone and I'm like, I love this person, they're great. And then, like, the next day, gone, ghosted. And I'm like, shouldn't have written that poem. And so I think the way that I got better about writing about love is I started seeing how many different types of love there are, like, even just in this room, right? Like, I feel a lot of love that you took time out of your day to come here, and that I find so inspiring. Or even, like, friends of mine, like, when they show up for me, like, I find that super lovely, and I think that's full of love. And just even, like, when it's a sunny day and you feel the sun and you're like, oh, love is real. There's that meme I'm quoting, I don't know if you guys know that meme, but I think I do believe in it. And, so often I think we glamorize romantic love to be the only type of love that exists. And even when it does exist, I think we're like, oh, it has to be like these big efforts and like all these huge things. And so I think we miss a lot of the little moments that make love what it is. So my short answer is yes. In the same way that you're saying, like, this feels impossible, like, up until a couple months ago, this felt impossible to me. And even when they told me, like, oh, you have to sell, like, a certain amount of tickets, I was like, I don't know about that. And then we sold out once. And I was like, that has to be a mistake. Like, with all due respect, I was like, somebody messed up in the back end. And I thought it was me. I kept refreshing the page, and I was like, nah, like, and then it sold out again. And I was like, Okay.
Bravo!
And I think for me, that was when it really hit me of like, why did I feel that it was impossible? Because I would never want you to feel that way. I wouldn't want any other Latina writer to be like, oh, like, that's for other people, that's not for us. And I was like, okay. And like, my agent can tell you, I'm always really hesitant to do in-person things. That's why this is my first time. And one of the reasons that I was kind of convinced almost to do this is I was thinking of everything that's happening in the community, and I was like, it's really important like for us to also see like Latina joy and to see that we can exist like as people that are people. And I think that's really important to emphasize. And even like throughout this book, like you'll see how important that identity is to these characters and also to me. And I think that's why the way that they're built, like they're able to carry that cultura with them, because I carry it so deeply within myself. And like I would love to take all the credit, but like my parents did a really amazing job of, you know, we were kind of forced a little bit to speak Spanish at home. And so I remember one of my siblings, he's gonna hate that I tell the story maybe, one of my siblings didn't want to speak Spanish when he was little. And so he came home one day, and I'm the youngest of my family, I'm the baby. And so he came home and he told my parents, like, I don't want to speak Spanish anymore. I want to be all American. And my parents were like, ¿De veras? Really? And he was like, yeah. And so they were like, okay, so we're gonna move to Mexico then. And we did. And I had just been born, so I was born in NorCal, and then I spent pretty much my first year of life in Mexico, and I think that is a big part of like why I am the way that I am. And then throughout my life, like I was speaking Spanish at home, and even while I was at Yale, I was studying biology, but I really wanted to keep practicing my Spanish because I was like, not a lot of people are speaking Spanish. Like I was so used to speaking it at home. And I remember it was such a culture shock to just be at school all the time and to be in the dorms all the time. And I was like, when do I get to go home? Like, and you know, I was low income, like I'm first gen low income. And so for me, I couldn't afford to go home for Thanksgiving. And I would see all my friends, like they were leaving and stuff, and I would just be there. And I was like, oh, like, okay. And so I started taking a lot of Spanish classes, and I took so many Spanish classes that I ended up with like the Yale equivalent of a minor in Spanish. And a lot of them were Spanish literature classes, so I took Spanish literature, Latin American literature, and I think that's also where I started growing a lot of my love for reading and writing. And like, I love reading romance novels now, but writing poetry like became super therapeutic to me. So, yeah. I don't know if that answered your question. I went on a tangent. I'm a yapper. It's like the privilege of being in the right place at the right time. And I felt very lucky that my social media grew in the way that it did. And even then, like, I try really hard to repost as many people as I can, because I'm like, oh, like, people helped me get to where I am now. Like, it wasn't just one day I woke up and everything was like amazing in the way it is now. Like, so many people helped me to get to where I am. And so I'm always gonna kind of give that forward as well. And I think for me, like I said, it didn't feel like, oh, this deserves to be published, but it was to the sense where I had a lot of people in my life and friends of mine that were like, girl, you gotta put a book out. Like, I keep seeing your comments, people keep asking for a book, and this was more so for like Diary of a Romantica, like volume 1 and 2, and it wasn't necessarily my plan to publish, because like I said, it was just kind of like my own little diary, like, oh, everything's great. But I had a lot of people that sat me down and were like, you need to publish this. And I was like, I don't know if anybody will buy it. Like, I don't know. And they were like, just publish it. Just see what happens. And yeah, a lot of people helped me create those books because I had so much imposter syndrome. And once I saw that they were doing well, and I started to see people sharing them and taking the books to the beach and like all these really wonderful things, I was like, oh, this has a positive impact for other people, not just for me. And it also inspired a lot of people to start writing. And I got a lot of DMs that were like, oh, like, because of you, I started writing about my own identity, or because of you, I started wearing my hair natural, or like stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is really important to continue on, despite how like my insecurities might be projecting on. So I took time and I was like, okay, like, let's heal ourselves a little bit, because it's always like you have to fill your own cup before you're able to help others, right? And so yeah, I think it was more so people kind of convinced me, and not me being like, ah, yeah. And I'm not just saying that to be humble too, like they really had to sit me down and be like, we will publish this book for you. So yeah.
All right, last question.
I think I can only say, like, from my perspective, right, of what I learned from the lessons that they gave us, because each of my siblings could have had a different experience. For me, being the youngest, I was really lucky to see how great my siblings were and how wonderful and talented they all were. And so something that I talked with my parents a lot about is, because there was this moment, especially when I was in high school, where when I went in, nobody knew my name. They only knew me as so-and-so's little sister. And I talked to my parents and they were like, oh, like, you're handling that well. Like, a lot of people would feel like they have to meet this expectation and be the same as their siblings or whatever. And I was just like, I know I'm not that smart, like, and my mom was laughing in the front row. And it wasn't necessarily because I wasn't smart, but I was like, oh, I'm not as smart enough as these people that I've seen be so talented and be so accomplished. And it was really interesting because my brother had just graduated as valedictorian, like got into every single school he applied to, like Harvard, Stanford, all those, right when I went into high school. So he had just left, I had just started. And so everyone was like, so you're gonna be valedictorian, like, and I was like, no. And at a certain point, I was like, okay, like, I know I want to do well. And my parents, one of the big lessons they taught us was the importance of education. And I think that's something that is very prominent in the Latina community, especially. And, like, I always tear up when I see those, like, TikToks of people showing their graduation gowns and giving their graduation gowns to their parents, because I think it's something so powerful that, especially being first gen, like, you see the power that education has and how even within just one generation, like, so many things can change just by being, like, a formally educated person, which I have a lot of thoughts about that too, because there's so many ways to be educated. But I think because of that lesson, when I started feeling that way of like, oh, I'm not that smart, blah, 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 I was like, okay, maybe I don't have to be valedictorian to be smart. Like, I don't have to be the smartest to be anything. And it's going to be really funny when I say the next thing I'm going to say, because I ended up graduating valedictorian of my class. And I was one of the first Latina valedictorians. So my brother had been one of the first Latino valedictorians. I was one of the first Latina. And I think if I had gone into high school with that mindset of, oh, I need to be that person, I wouldn't have done it. Because I would have just kind of like gotten buried by all of these expectations that I was starting to have of myself. So I kind of just freed myself. And even like with this book, right, even with poetry, like I was like, oh, biology is like, if I suck at poetry, it's to be expected, like it's fine. And I think that's what allowed me to be so passionate about it and feel like nobody was listening. And thankfully, like, so many people are, and so many people relate to it. And I think in those moments, that lesson that they taught me of like the importance of education just also taught me the importance of like, you have to believe in yourself, because there's going to be so many people that have this idea of who you are. And I can think of one specific example too. When I was in high school, I wanted to take 5 AP classes. And I was between my sophomore and junior year, and I went to a guidance counselor, and somebody had gone in front of me with like the same classes and everything, and they were like, I want to take these classes. The guidance counselor was like, cool, great, sign it off, bye. And then I sat down, and same exact schedule, same exact prior classes, whatever. I was like, I want to take these classes. You sure? These classes are kind of hard. 5? And I had that same moment of like, similar to my Yale interview, where I was like, you just gotta lie. Like, because I didn't know if I could do it, but I was like, yeah, I can do it. Easy. And I'm like, no. Like, I was like freaking out on the inside. But I think in that moment, that was one of the things that helped me become who I became, because I was so willing to do the hard thing and to do it afraid. And I think, like, I'm always a scared person, but I think there's a lot of growth that comes with doing things when you're afraid, you know, within reason. Like, I'm not gonna jump off any bridges, like, but I think a lot of important lessons kind of branched off of that root of like the power of education, the importance of education.
Give it up for Celia, everyone.